Hey, what's going on, everybody? We got a little bit of footage for you. I've been out working on a job for 3 days now. This is the start of the third day. We got a lot of drone footage and some GoPro footage, but we're just going to do a voiceover on this instead of some audio clips here and there. I got JC with me. I had to call in for some backup. The juggernaut was not big enough to pull this guy out. He says he's weighing 80,000 pounds. I think the scales was off when they filled him because I've pulled a lot of trucks out that weigh 80,000 with no problem. And I couldn't budge this guy. But I got JC here. Let him introduce himself.
What's going on, guys? I'm JC. Will gave me a shout and said, "Hey, man, I really need a dozer," and I blew him off for 2 days and just couldn't really make it happen. So I was like, you know what? Got a blade at the yard, and we'll see if we can get it out with that. But it does happen to be the biggest blade they make, so figured we'd have some decent luck with that. So met up uh, met up with Will and took us back to the spot and unloaded. And right now we're just driving in and cruising along pretty good pace, but just headed in to go find that. And then turns out as we're headed in, gets another call and drops the pin. And what do you know? It's only like 2 miles from this other guy. So we decide we're gonna go in there and pull that other guy out first, so if someone doesn't come and pull him out first before we can get there and go handle business with the other ones. So that's what we're doing right now. Is headed back to the first one that we ended up pulling out, and that's
It,
that's what we're doing.
it was pretty stuck. You get an example of it here in just a second of how bad it was. Now, this was a truck that's 80,000 pounds stuck in the ground, and you'll be able to see how well I can pull out 80,000 no problem. And I couldn't hardly budge this other truck that you'll see here in a minute. I literally pulled on it 2 days, winched, moved them a few feet.
Sorry to interrupt you, but so as you're pulling up, you look at the back of this truck, right? And we see there's straps hanging out on it already, boards in the ground, and we're like talking beforehand, like, man, we need to get over there before someone accidentally pulls them out. And as we get here, definitely not going to accidentally pull this guy out for sure. So we he been stuck for a while. He said that he's been sitting there for like 2 days as well, like a mile down the road. Had no idea, but the other guy gave him the phone number, and so that's what we were doing at this point.
Yeah, uh, we was shocked. We didn't even know until we pulled him out that he had been stuck for 2 days. And I had pulled out another company that got stuck pretty much in this same area right here a few days before, and the boss got stuck in the original hole that this other truck was in. I pulled him out in his truck. Well, he passed the word on to this guy here. He's friends with this trucking company and gave him my number and said, "Man, he's the only one that's going to get you out." And you could see by all the ruts and like JC said, all the broken straps. They had been trying for 2 days before they called us.
Yeah, I I definitely wouldn't let it go that long. I'm a more proactive person. After the first hour of digging, it's like, all right, let's go ahead and call someone and get out because what we're doing is not working. But uh, but yeah, it's crazy that people can sit there for that long, and you know, it's it's kind of you kind of forget, like it's dangerous sitting there as it is driving too. You're in the middle of nowhere, no cell phone service, and stuff can go bad pretty quick, especially with cold coming in, and you just never know out here, and so it's kind of a safety thing as well. So, but
Talking about safety, it's not very often you see it, but there is mountain lion in the area. A lot of bobcats, a lot of coyotes. There's a lot of wildlife out there, and when it warms up in the day, this time of the year, the rattlesnakes come out. You can see by the background, there's nothing for miles. That location that was off in the background there, that's the only civilization there is the oil field workers out there working on the location. Juggernaut pulled this one out, no problem. And JC got some amazing drone footage here. You just look off in the background there, you can see how far it is before anything. You're 50 miles to the closest town.
Yeah, definitely not a place you want to go exploring either. Just you see a road like, man, it doesn't really look like this is too well traveled. There's a reason. There's a reason because it's not. But you know, just gotta be diligent and have a tad bit of common sense. And but if everyone did, bills wouldn't be getting paid.
GPS out here in the oil field will get you in a bind so fast that just a tip when you start down a road and it doesn't look like it's a heavy traveled road by these oil field locations have roughly how many trucks would you say a day?
Most of the time on frac, they get anywhere from 100 to 200 per day per 24-hour cycle. So, I mean, you're talking an insane amount of traffic, and that's just for sand. Not to mention your crew shifts. You got 30 people per crew, and the constant fuel trucks and just third party that comes in. So, I mean, you're talking thousands of vehicles a day that come in and go down. So, it's pretty obvious when you're headed somewhere. It's like if it's not traveled, you're in the wrong spot. And a lot of these guys say that they're following the poly line in or the lay flat, but lay flat always don't take you to location either. So
When he's talking about lay flat, these lines you see on the bottom of the screen there, whenever they're not pressured up, they just flatten out. They roll them back up on reels and haul them off. But we just passed one of the pumps that they transferred from the frac ponds to the well site. Right in here. Okay. I got him to there yesterday to the truck that's been stuck for 3 days. I got him about 300 yards from the original spot he was stuck in and had him rolling good. And he was helping. The driver decided to shift gears at this point here. Whenever he did, he couldn't get it in the next gear. And without his power to assist, started wheel hopping and I couldn't budge him. And that's whenever I asked JC, man, you've got to get a dozer for me. And he told me about it. He goes, I can bring my motor grader out there. And I was like, oh man, that's not going to do it. And he goes, it's pretty powerful and it's got a lot of flotation, it's got a snow package and stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking there's no way a motor grader is going to help me at all. And then he sends me a picture of it. I was like, okay, that's a little bigger than what I was expecting, and the pictures didn't do it justice. Whenever I seen him pull up, we met up about what 10 miles west of Hobbs
yeah,
at Arkansas Junction, somewhere in there. When he come pulling up and I seen that, I was like, okay, now I see why he wanted to bring this. And I'm gonna tell you what, that is one heck of a machine right there. I couldn't budge him with the kinetic energy pull with about 4 foot of slack. I wasn't moving him at all from this position that he's in right here yesterday. And you watch, he moved him. He was moving him. The only problem was we was worried about the ruts that he was digging when the tractor would get down into the ruts. You'll see here in just a second.
well, because I mean he's already dragging frame at this point. So as you can see right now, the rear of the grader is going to go start going down, and that's just translation to the tires going deeper into the sand. So you see it just shift. So right there, and then by the time his tires get into the groove, we're dragging twice the frame, which is more weight that you're having to drag instead of roll. So I gave her one more tug, and we get her about 6 feet, even though Will doesn't think we were moving. But
Oh, I knew you was moving.
hey, I'm just saying, like I was like, don't tell me to stop. We're rolling, but
I was worried about the ruts that he was going because I knew what it would happen when the front axle and the oil pan started dragging. There's no bottom to this sand out here. Some places you go and you get down 6 inches and there's hard clay. You can dig 6 feet down in this sand in this area, and there is no bottom to it. But this machine right here has got a lot of pulling power. It's the only thing I've seen around here other than like mining equipment or fertilizer trucks with great big tractor tires, basically monster truck tires, that has anything close to the pull power I've got.
Absolutely. I mean, tire related for sure. I mean, anything track is going to do really well out here, but also track equals slow. And when you're talking 15, 20 miles off the pavement, you're talking 3 or 4 hours to even drive it back into there because it's not like you can haul it. So that's what I told Will, I was like, man, with this grader, we can do 35 back in there, get there in a couple minutes and just make our lives easier. So in the interest of not tearing things up at this point, we decided we'll go ahead and hook Juggernaut back up and just make it easier and less stressful on everything. So I mean, it's easier on my equipment, easier on the truck that we're trying to get out. Because I mean, end goal is definitely not to tear
The
anything
pull
up.
points, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. So you know, staged in this way, you can see he hooked a kinetic to mine, and I'm stationary on the tractor. So that way, you know, the main pull is off of me, but then the kinetic keeps it moving when situations arise. We hit deeper sand or a heavier deal. And another thing to note, right here, it looks relatively flat, but we actually got a decent incline, and it transitions up the hill, which is also a hard part of this.
and then a curve to the left,
Yeah,
just shortly in front of us here. And our trucks, we don't drop down in the sand because we have big flotation tires. I have a tire inflation system on my truck that right now I'm running with 12 psi in my tires, and you can kind of see them how they're squatted down, and they put a big footprint out and they don't sink in. But in some later shots, you'll see this tractor trailer that's just rolling across it is just sinking in. Kind of shows you how much flotation these tires get. Got some, you can see the tires squatting down there, and that's due to that central tire inflation system. I know a lot of guys pull them off. They think they're complicated, but when you break those components down into individual components and understand how each piece of the system works, they're really easy to work on. And something I spent 8 years as an automation tech in a gas plant, so that kind of stuff's easy for me. And now his tires back behind us, I'm not sure what the tire pressure is. They got a little squat to them, but they're almost twice as wide as my tires, and what, maybe 2, 3 inches taller.
yeah.
They're they're massive. The shots here does not do it justice.
Well, and that's what we were talking about. It's like, man, it looks so insignificant, like what what we're doing in this one, because it's like, man, it's not even super rutted or super dippy, but just the amount of sand and the fact that you can't get traction, and when you're talking, you know, you're talking the weight of the semi minus surface area of tire, you're just gonna sink. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable taking a decent four-wheel drive pickup back here, much less a loaded semi.
Talking about that, just in front of us here, probably 200 yards from where we're at right now, I pulled a four-wheel drive Dodge pickup out of the sand that was buried up. I don't know, 2 3 weeks back in the middle of the night, I got a call, and right just out of frame where he was, may have been right at the edge of the frame where he was buried down, and that was a four-wheel drive Dodge pickup, extended cab, four-door pickup, and buried down. That sand is soft. Uh, our trucks, I've been up and down it and kind of smoothed it out so we didn't shake this truck around, because at some point those pins you put in the front of
Yeah.
the truck to pull it out,
Well, something's got to give,
yeah,
and
something's got to give.
you'll find the weakest point real quick, and that can be the difference in breaking something or hurting something, and It's just easier to get in and get out and not get hurt.
There's a good shot of where I packed the road down, back and forth, made it nice and smooth, with trying to do the least amount of damage to the truck as possible. And that was another reason a dozer wouldn't have worked on this. That truck, the longer it set, the more it would, the slower you go, the deeper that truck would sink in. And with a dozer, it won't really pack the ground. It kind of chews the ground up as it goes. That truck would have sank in even deeper and been a lot more force pulling on it.
If you look right here, it's in the frame coming up. We're at the highest peak of the hill and really start bogging down. We're like, what the heck? Look back and wheels facing the wrong way, as you can see right there. So we're dragging him completely sideways. I look back, I was like, gosh, dang it, we broke a tie rod. And then I look in the other mirror, I'm like, oh, thank goodness he just turned the wrong direction. But we could not stop because you can see the tracks on how much he's penetrating in, and it's you stop, you're stuck again, and you have forward momentum, you keep it going.
This was a this was definitely a challenging job for me. I've been beat up 2 days out there shoveling sand out from underneath that truck and move him a foot or two, and you know finally got him to a downhill slope and had him rolling, and then lost momentum when he missed the gear. I was ready for this job to be over with. I'm not gonna lie. This one was probably one of the toughest recoveries I've done in 11 years. There's only been two trucks I couldn't get out, and I probably could have, but I was having difficulties. We'll just leave it at that with the drivers of the truck and of the other two trucks. But I didn't want this one to be the third that I couldn't get out, and JC saved me here because I wouldn't have got it out without that big yellow machine there.
Well, I mean, not to mention too, we're not going to name names, but you did have some other companies that are in the same business come out and like, man, we can't even do this. And so at the end of the day, who's going to get this guy out? Someone's got to. He's sitting in this truck for 3 days, no food, no water, no communication, no one that cares. And so
Even 911 told him, "Sorry, there's nothing we can do for you."
here's a phone number.
Yeah,
you know,
everybody ended up referring him back to me, and you know, it was very rewarding to get him out.
well, I mean, plus he was appreciative of it too. He didn't. He was happy to be out, and he was ready to get out of the truck.
Some amazing shots you got there with that drone.
Yeah, just still learning, man. But that's how you get better. You come out and play with it.
You're definitely really good. He was operating that piece of machinery and that drone at the same time. Man's got some talent, and sure glad to have him as a friend. That's for
Gosh, man, I appreciate it.
sure. Good guy. He's helped me out a lot. He just started a YouTube channel. What's the name of your channel?
GTT no prep.
We'll try to put a link in the description. No guarantees that I'll get it right, but I'm not a good YouTuber, but good recovery guy, and I'm trying on this YouTubing. But guys, we appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and till next time, please like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day.